Hi, this is just a short video to show you how you would run a sensory story at Promise Sam Plus. So this is the kind of story you could run with your children at home. If you're on the Promise Sam Plus email, you'll have got sent an email this week with a script for the story of Noah. So that's a story that we've run at Promise Sam Plus before, and the children really enjoyed it, and it's quite an easy story to run at home if you wanted to. So I'm going to demonstrate how to do that. I took the story from the Jesus Storybook Bible, so if you've got that at home you could read it to your child as well, but this is just a simplified script that I wrote from that story. And if you've got a copy of the script, you'll see there's writing in bold and writing in italics on there as well. So the bits in bold are the teaching points, so they're like the gospel truths from the story. They might be truths that you want to pray over your child as well. So I do that sometimes when I'm preparing the stories. I pray those points for the children that we're going to share them with. And the bits just in normal font are just a script that you just read normally like a story, and then the bits in italics are practical or sensory activities that you would do within the story while you're reading it. So I'm going to talk you through those as I do them, and I'm just going to read the script as I would if we were doing it at Promise Sam Plus. And just a disclaimer for you, I know this doesn't look like it would look at Promise Sam Plus because there isn't any children here. There's no children wanting to climb on me, wanting to play with me, so it looks much neater than it would if you did this at home. It looks much neater than if I did it at Promise Sam Plus. So yeah, bear in mind that this isn't going to be chaotic, and it's fine if you do it at home and it is really chaotic. It's fine if a child is really interested in one part of the story, like they're really interested in animals or in the water play, that's fine. I'd just keep reading the story over them, even if they just want to stay on one bit. I think that's fine to just, just keep reading the story, even if they don't seem that interested in all of it. If they want to move around, that's fine. At Promise Sam Plus, sometimes the children sit, sometimes they're more active moving around, sometimes they really like one bit of the story, or there's one toy they really want to hold on to, and that's fine. It's fine for them to engage with it however they want to, whichever bits they like, that's fine. So I've got a bag of things that we're going to use in our story. I've actually got some things that didn't fit in the bag as well, so I've just put them next to me. But it's good to have a bag of things next to you that you can pull things out of, if you can fit everything in it. And the children are often really interested in what's in the bag, and it kind of gets their curiosity to come and see that there's something in here. So I'm going to have that next to me, and I'm going to get things out as we go. So I would just introduce the children and say, we're going to look at a story, or maybe you could hold up a book. If you've got a book like this, you could say, we're going to read a story from the Bible. So here's our story. So God made a perfect world, but people messed it up. God told a man called Noah to build a boat. And then our action in italics is to have a look at something wooden or something to do with building. So I just found things from around my house. So it doesn't have to be toys even, it doesn't have to be anything really fancy. You can just find whatever's in your house, whatever you've got to hand. So I've got a wooden chopping board. So if I was doing this with children, I might get them to feel it, see what it feels like. You could knock it, see what it sounds like. You could have a good look at it. You might have other things. You might have some toy tools perhaps, or you might have something like sandpaper. You might have different kinds of wood. You might find twigs or branches in your garden, and children could look at those and think about how they feel, and that would be an example of wood for them. So we would pass this around. If we were in Promise Sam Plus, we could all pass it and have a feel of it and see what it's like. So God told Noah to trust in him. So now we would pass around a boat. Hopefully you've got some toy boats at home. I couldn't find a toy boat, so I've got something that's actually a seesaw. I think it looks a little bit like a boat. So yeah, I'm just using this because I don't have anything else. You might have a picture of a boat. You might have a book about boats that you could hold up. You could even find like a video on your phone or something of a boat and show that to children. And God told Noah to take the animals into the boat. So hopefully everyone's got some toy animals at home. So I had a look in my house, and I've got animals. I've got a tortoise, and I've got a rabbit. So you could think maybe about how the toys feel. You could touch them. I've got some fabric that feels a little bit soft, fairy. And this toy is really popular at Promise Sam Plus, the purple platypus. And I found some rabbit ears as well, so you might have some dress up things that connect to toys that children could pass around, could try on, see what they feel like. Got a penguin. I found some material that's got like an animal pattern on it. I know some children really like patterns. So yeah, just find anything in your house that's animal related that children could have a look at, have a feel at. Even if they've got a book perhaps has animals in, they could look at that as well. So just anything animal related. And God told Noah to trust in him. It rained lots until the world flooded. So I've got a makeshift rain stick that's just got pasta, couscous, rice and a stick in it. And it sounds a little bit like rain. Probably needs a bit more rice in it, but you could make something like that sounds a bit like rain, or you could find some rain sound effects on your phone and play those. And Noah and his family are safe on the boat with all the animals. So hopefully you've got a boat or something that looks like a boat. You could put that in maybe a bowl or a box of water. And I'm going to get some water as well. And then, yeah, you've got some water and a bowl and a boat. And if you don't have a boat, you can just pour some water. And I don't think my boat's going to float, but yours might do. So you get your child to feel the water. You don't have to have this much water, maybe a bit messy, Mo, and a little bit less. So yeah, if they've got a boat, they can play with the boat in the water, or they can just put their hands in the water and see what it feels like. If you've got other water play toys or even sponges or flannels and things, you can play with those in the water. So God told Noah to trust in him, and it stopped raining. And Noah thanked God for saving him and his family. And how might it feel? We could think about how it might feel if you were one of the animals or one of the people and you were finally on dry land and it finally stopped raining. So I've got some things to help us think about that. So I've got some mud, some homemade mud. So this is cocoa powder and corn flour and water. And it feels really sticky. So if your child maybe likes feeling things with their hands, they might like to feel some mud. You could eat it, but it actually doesn't taste very nice because the corn flour tastes a bit bitter. But it's a nice thing to feel. And if you've got some plastic animals, perhaps you could put some of them in there. So I've got a plastic horse, so I could put my horse in the mud, see what that feels like. I've also got, if you want something that's a bit less sticky, you could use some porridge oats. So they're like, I guess, like sandy, sawdusty feel as well. Now my hands are too sticky. So I've got some porridge oats, and you can maybe pour those into a tray. Especially if your child really likes messy play, you could have some porridge and some mud and think about how the dry land would feel. And the last bit of our story. So God put a rainbow in the sky as a promise that he would never destroy the world again. So hopefully you've got maybe something rainbow themed. Maybe you've been drawing or colouring rainbows. Brothers and sisters maybe have made rainbows to put in the window, or you have. Or you've got some rainbow coloured clothes, some really brightly coloured clothes. So I found, a really brightly coloured scarf, a rainbow coloured scarf, and another brightly coloured scarf. I've got a blanket as well that's really brightly coloured. So you can think about some of those things. Some children like really brightly coloured patterns. Just having a look at those and thinking about the rainbow that God put in the sky. So the last bit of our story, it says, God rescued Noah in a boat, and years later he sent Jesus to rescue all of us. And then there's a prayer that we could pray over the children. So we can say, thank you, God, that we can trust in you. Thank you, God, for sending Jesus to rescue us. Please help us trust in you. So you could pray that prayer with your children. And then Promise and Plus, normally after we've done the story, the children are still really interested in the things that we've got out. So you could carry on doing some water play. You could carry on with your messy play if you've got that out. You could maybe carry on listening to some animal songs or playing with your animal toys. Or you could make something rainbow related if you've got some brightly coloured paints or some brightly coloured paper. You could do some sticking or some painting or some colouring. And you can send us some pictures if you've made anything, or if you've played with something you've really enjoyed. We'd really like to see and hear about how you get on. So hope you enjoyed that. Hopefully that's something you could use with your children at home. And we miss you at Promise and Plus, and we're looking forward to seeing you again. Bye.